Do you want to know what your future spouse loves about you? We're going to find out their first impression of you, what they love about you physically, and what they love about you in general. So stay tuned. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Felicia. In this pick a card reading, we're going to find out what your future spouse loves about you. I petitioned the cards to find out what they first notice about you, what they love about you physically, and what they love about you in general. This is going to be a short pick a card reading because I plan on redoing this with a channeled message from your future spouse themselves, telling you what they love about you. This pick a card was suggested by Miss Anita Knight. So, I want to say that this is a general reading, like always. And who you are now is not who you're going to be when you meet your future spouse if you have met them already. So if I mention a trait that you do not currently have, keep an open mind that you might develop that trait by the time you meet your future spouse. So, if you want to see any more future spouse readings, just comment 3 hearts down below or leave a suggestion in the comment section down below. So we have 3 groups. Group number 1, 2, and 3. So group number 1, group number 2, and group number 3. So, take your time to pick your group. And the timestamps will be in the description and the pinned comment down below. So we'll get started. Okay, so group number 1. These cards are going to tell us what your future spouse first notices about you. The Lenormand cards will tell us what they like about you physically, and the tarot will tell us what they like about you in general. So your first cards, we have the Canisa Luri and the Mountain Reedbuck. So, if you look at the bird, the Canisa, I feel that the first thing that your future spouse is going to notice about you is either your eyes, your hair, and the way that you are dressed, or all of the above. You might have a very different way of dressing. You could be extravagant in the way that you dress, or you might dress minimalistically in the way that it sort of seems like you don't care about what you're wearing. You might also take a lot of time choosing and a lot of care in the way that you are put together. With that being said, you might meet your future spouse in a work environment, or if you wear a uniform, you might meet your future spouse whilst wearing a uniform. With the hair, you might dye your hair, get a new fresh haircut when you meet your future spouse. You might even decide one day to dye your hair a very crazy color, and that might be the day that you meet your future spouse. Also with this group, I feel like whether you guys realize it or not, you guys have very beautiful eyes. With the Mountain Reedbuck, one of the other things your future spouse is going to notice about you is your spot-on intuition. So you might develop your intuition further by the time you meet your future spouse. You might also start or improve upon your current spiritual practice. The Mountain Reedbuck is known for forecasting the weather. So I do believe that you guys will have, or do have, very spot-on intuition. With the Lenormand, we have the child, we have the scythe, the rider, and the bear. With the rider here, I want to restate the fact about the way that you are dressed. The rider usually talks about someone who is very well dressed, elegant looking. So something about the way that you are dressed stands out to your future spouse, and they like that very much. With the child here, this can talk about you being short or petite. You might look young for your age. You might have a very youthful appearance. You might dress in a way that some people might think is inappropriate for your age. We have the scythe here, which also can talk about prominent scars or tattoos. So you might have a scar that is quite visible, and you have a very interesting story about how that happened. You could also have tattoos that your future spouse might find very interesting. With the bear, you could be curvy or voluptuous. But the bear can also talk about body hair. So with the bear and scythe, you might be one who grooms himself very extensively in that you like to remove your body hair. But with the bear, you could also be someone who couldn't care less about removing their body hair. So either or applies here. What else does your future spouse like about you? We have the Ten of Pentacles, the Emperor, the Magician, the Queen of Cups, and the Nine of Swords. You guys might come off as being loners. We have the Nine of Swords here, which can correlate to the Hermit in the Major Arcana. And with all the cards here, except for the Ten of Pentacles, all of the characters are alone. So you guys might do very well alone. So this won't be a codependent relationship. You have your own things going for you. With the Magician here, you might have a very interesting spiritual practice. So you guys might manifest, might do magic, but you guys are able to bring things that you want into manifestation and into reality. With the Emperor here, you guys are very strong individuals. Whether you realize that or not, your future spouse likes the fact that you might be either mentally strong, emotionally strong as well. With the Ten of Pentacles, they like that they can see you in their future. They see you as like a very good fit into their idea of family, their idea of marriage, for example. With the Queen of Cups, you guys might be very good at handling your emotions. By the time you meet your future spouse, you might have mastered how to not let your emotions rule you. With all of these cards here, Some of you might be starting your own business or have started your own business, and by the time you meet your future spouse, your business might be very successful. I'm using the word might very strongly because everything is a potential, right? Let's see, what else am I seeing? Yeah, with the 9 of Swords and the Queen of Cups, with the Emperor here, I feel like if you guys have any anxieties, worries, you're able to handle your emotions in a very mature way. So it seems like you guys aren't really bothered by many things. Or you might be able to help your future spouse see things from a more objective perspective if your future spouse might be the one suffering from anxiety, for example. So group number 1, that is all I have for you. If you like this pick a card reading, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so other people can see this reading. And until next time, bye. Okay, so group number 2, keep in mind that this is a general reading and that I am channeling the future you at the time that you meet your future spouse, if you haven't met them already. So if I mention traits that you don't have currently, you might develop those traits by the time that you meet your future spouse. These cards are going to tell us what your future spouse first notices about you when you meet. The Lenormand will tell us what they like about you physically, and the Tarot will tell us what they like about you in general. So with the playing cards, we have the Egyptian Goose and the Wandering Albatross. One of the first things that your future spouse might notice about you is that you might be quite graceful. Either in the way that you speak, you might be very eloquent. Could also be the way that you walk or present yourself. The Egyptian goose is known for putting its nests in very weird locations, for example, embankments and cliffs. It's also known for using the nests of other birds. So you guys might be nomadic. You might like traveling, and therefore you might live or have lived in many different places. This could be you currently or you when you were a child. The wandering albatross is able to fly over the sea for many months. So you guys are able to go with the flow and adapt to any situation. You're very adaptable. So the first thing they notice about you is your grace and adaptability to any situation. Another thing they might notice about you are your lips or your eyes. Because if you look at the wandering albatross, its beak and its eyes look quite distinct. So you might be wearing a very interesting lipstick, or you might have very interesting mouth, I don't know. But your mouth and your eyes are something that they notice right off the bat. what do they like about you physically? We have the clover, the stars, the man, and the snake. Some of you might have green or hazel eyes. You might also have a very interesting sense of humor. Have a very jokester personality. You might like pulling pranks on people, for example. With the stars here, you could have very beautiful eyes, like I said. You could also have freckles or moles that are quite distinct. Your skin could also not be very smooth. You might have acne scarring. But for some reason, I think your future spouse finds natural beauty very very enchanting. They like natural beauty. So you are very approachable in the sense that you don't seem too perfect. You have flaws that make you even more beautiful, if that makes sense. With the man here, some of you might be androgynous in the way that you dress. Or you might like wearing pants instead of skirts. Or if you're a man, you might have very manicured nails. With the snake here, you might be very flexible, or by the time you meet your future spouse, you have enrolled in maybe yoga or other physical activities that require you to be quite flexible, but I'm definitely picking up yoga here. What else am I picking up? You guys might be very optimistic with the stars here. Something about your childhood has led you to be quite different in the way that you view certain situations. I'm not picking up on what that is, but if it resonates with you, you could let me know. So, with the tarot we have the Three of Pentacles, the King of Swords, Ten of Cups, the Two of Wands. The King of Swords has a very great sense of humor. So again, I think that they notice and like your sense of humor. The King of Swords is also a person who is very honest, sometimes to the point of being a little bit brutal. But your future spouse enjoys your honesty. You could be quite independent, and they like that about you, but they also like the fact that you guys involve them in your future plans. With the Two of Wands here, he's holding on to one of the wands, yet the other one remains untouched. So when you guys make plans, you might also use the word we. We could go here, we could do this, which makes your future spouse feel quite special. The fact that you include them in your future plans. With the Three of Pentacles, I feel like you and your future spouse work very well together. You make a great team. So both of your strengths and weaknesses are complementary. And because of that, your future spouse feels that the two of you will make a very great and emotionally fulfilling relationship. For some of you, you will have children with your future spouse, and they see you as a very great parent. Yeah, that is all I'm seeing for you, group number 2. If you like this reading, please like, comment, and subscribe so other people can see this reading. Also stay tuned because I'm going to be doing a different variation of this exact reading where I will channel a message from your future spouse telling you what they like about you. Until next time, bye. Hello, group number 3. Keep in mind that this is a general reading and that I'm channeling the future you by the time you meet your future spouse if you haven't met them already. So if I mention any traits that you don't have currently, keep in mind that you might develop these traits by the time you meet your future spouse. So these cards will tell us what your future spouse first notices about you when you meet. The lineage will tell us what your future spouse likes about you physically. And the tarot will tell us what your future spouse likes about you in general. So, we have the ghost crab and the Nile crocodile. Group number 3. One of the first things your future spouse will notice about you is that you guys might be hard to read. They might also feel intimidated by you, whether or not you see yourself as an intimidating person. With the Nile crocodile, they feel very intimidated by you in the sense that they can't read you. They don't know whether you like them or not. The ghost crab is known for its ability to hold its breath. It can hold its breath for up to 6 weeks. And the number 6 is associated with success. Your future spouse, by the time you meet them, if you haven't met them already, might see you as someone who is either very successful or has an immense potential to be successful. Another thing they might notice about you, which I think I got for all of the groups actually, is your eyes. Because if you look at the ghost crab, the first thing I see are its eyes. And also with the crocodile, the first thing I notice are its eyes. Your future spouse might also think that you have very nice skin. So your skin might be soft, it might be glowing. So what do they like about you physically? We have the whip, the letter, the heart, and the tree. All of these cards are talking about different body shapes. So I don't think that your future spouse is very picky when it comes to body shapes. The whip talks about someone who is athletic and fit. The letter can talk about someone who is considered to be too thin for their height. and the heart talks about someone who is curvy. So I think regardless of your body shape or body type, your future spouse finds you to be quite attractive. I think your future spouse really finds your personality or your mind to be the most attractive part of you. Whip can talk about a routine, so maybe by the time that you meet your future spouse, you would have some sort of routine that keeps you grounded. Could be a self-care routine, workout routine, morning or night routine, and they find it very great that you have some sort of routine to keep yourself grounded and balanced. The letter can talk about someone who is eloquent. The heart can talk about someone with a heart-shaped face or someone who is quite positive. So those are other characteristics that you might have that your future spouse finds to be. Sorry about that, group number 3. My neighbor and their kids can be quite noisy. So like I was saying, you might be quite eloquent with your words. You might like reading, or might write, or you might be a writer, a poet. But they see you as someone who is quite positive, or you bring a lot of positivity to their life. With the tree can talk about someone who is tall. But like I was saying, your future spouse doesn't seem to care much about physical characteristics. So with the tree, I feel like you guys offer a lot of longevity, because trees usually last, if not thousands of years. So they might see you as someone who they can have a very long-term relationship, very stable and healthy relationship. And so regardless of your physical characteristics and height, your future spouse finds you to be quite attractive. We have the 2 of Swords, the Ace of Swords, the 5, that's the Ace of Wands, excuse me, the 5 of Wands, and the 10 of Swords. I don't feel like this group is one to let a lot of people in. We have the 2 of Swords and the Nile crocodile. So you might be very discriminatory in regards to who your friends are, who you date, who you let yourself be associated with. And your future spouse finds that to be very attractive. They see you as someone who is very mysterious. With the Ace of Wands here, they find you to be quite sexually attractive, so they don't care much about how you look. I think your personality and your mental state is what they find most attractive about you. You or your future spouse might have gone through quite emotion. You or your future spouse might have gone quite. You or your future spouse might have gone through some circumstances which have left you hopeless in the past, and they find you to be quite refreshing in the sense that you add to their healing process or they add to your healing process and you guys heal together. So it's not an unhealthy relationship. It's not trauma bonding, for example. It's that you two sort of have very similar pasts. Could be childhood, could be relationship histories, for example, but they find that you guys are very similar. And with that, you guys work well together. With the Five of Wands here, usually this card talks about fighting. This card usually talks about arguments, but I feel like you and your future spouse are quite playful and might pick fights for fun. That's all I have for you, group.